The 1947 murder of Elizabeth Short, also known as the Black Dahlia, is one of the oldest cold cases in Los Angeles. Not only was it a horrific crime, but it's also proven notoriously difficult to solve. Before getting into the case, subscribe to the channel. On January 15, 1947, Elizabeth Short's dead body was found in the Los Angeles neighborhood of Leimert Park. The first person who reported the grisly sight was a mother out for a morning walk with her child. According to the woman, the way Short's body had been posed made her think that the corpse was a mannequin at first. But a closer look revealed the true horror of the Black Dahlia crime scene. The 22-year-old Short had been sliced in two at the waist and completely drained of blood. Some of her organs, such as her intestines, had been removed and neatly placed underneath her. Pieces of flesh had been cut away from her thighs and breasts. And her stomach was full of feces, leading some to believe that she'd been forced to eat them before she was killed. The most chilling mutilations, however, were the lacerations on her face. The killer had sliced each side of her face from the corners of her mouth to her ears, creating what's known as a Glasgow smile. Since the body had already been washed clean, Los Angeles Police Department detectives concluded that she must have been killed elsewhere before being dumped in Leimert Park. Near her body, detectives noted a heel print and a cement sack with traces of blood that had presumably been used to transport her body to the vacant lot. The LAPD reached out to the FBI to help identify the body by searching their fingerprint database. Short's fingerprints turned up rather quickly because she had applied for a job as a clerk. And then her prints turned up a second time since she had been arrested by the Santa Barbara Police Department for underage drinking. The FBI also had her mugshot from her arrest, which they provided to the press. Before long, the media began reporting every salacious detail they could find about Short. Adding to her mystique, Short was reportedly a Hollywood hopeful. She had moved to Los Angeles just 6 months before her death and worked as a waitress. Sadly, she had no known acting jobs, and her death became her one claim to fame. On January 21, about a week after the body was found, the Examiner received a call from a person claiming to be the murderer, who said he would be sending Short's belongings in the mail as proof of his claim. Shortly thereafter, on the 24th, the Examiner received a package with Short's birth certificate, photos, business cards, and an address book with the name Mark Hansen on the cover. All of these items had been wiped down with gasoline, leaving no fingerprints behind. Though a partial fingerprint was found on the envelope, it was damaged in transport and never analyzed. At one point, the LAPD had 750 investigators on the case and interviewed more than 150 potential suspects linked to the Black Dahlia killing. Officers heard more than 60 confessions during the initial investigation, but none of them were considered legitimate. Since then, there have been more than 500 confessions, none of which led to anyone being charged. As time went on and the case went cold, many people assumed that the Black Dahlia murder was a date gone wrong, or that Short had run into a sinister stranger late at night while walking alone. After over 70 years, the Black Dahlia murder case remains open. But in recent years, a couple of intriguing and chilling theories have emerged. Now retired LAPD detective Steve Hodel was going through his dad's belongings when he noticed 2 photos of a woman who bore a striking resemblance to Elizabeth Short. Hodel went through newspaper archives and witness interviews from the case, and even filed a Freedom of Information Act to obtain FBI files on the Black Dahlia murder. He also had a handwriting expert compare samples of his father's writing to the writing on some of the notes sent to the press from the alleged killer. The analysis found a strong possibility that his father's handwriting matched, but the results were not conclusive. By the time Hodel began his investigation, many of the police officers who originally worked on the case were already dead. Shortly after the murder, the LAPD had 6 main suspects, and George Hodel was on their list. In fact, he was such a serious suspect that his home was bugged in 1950 so the police could monitor his activities. Even after this shocking revelation, which seems to support that George Hodel killed Short, and possibly also his secretary, the Black Dahlia case still hasn't been officially closed. However, this hasn't stopped Steve Hodel from investigating his father. He says he has found details from dozens of other murders that could possibly be connected to his father, implicating him not only as the Black Dahlia murderer but also as a deranged serial killer. Hodel's research has even garnered some attention from law enforcement. In 2004, Stephen R. K., the head deputy for LA County's District Attorney Office, said that if George Hodel was still alive he would have enough to indict him for the Elizabeth Short murder. In 2017, British author Piu Eatwell announced that she had finally solved the decades-old case. The real culprit, she claimed, was Leslie Dillon, a man who police briefly considered the primary suspect, but ultimately let go. He was one of the last people reported to have spoken with her before her death in a phone call on January 8. Eatwell also discovered, from police records, that Dillon knew details about the crime that had not yet been released to the public. One detail was that Short had a tattoo of a rose on her thigh, which had been cut out. Despite all the evidence pointing to him, Dillon was never charged with the crime. Eatwell's theories have not been proven, as everyone involved with the original Black Dahlia murder case is most likely dead by now, and many official LAPD documents remain locked away in vaults. Though we still don't know for certain who killed the Black Dahlia, these recent theories present compelling cases. And it's possible that the truth is still out there, just waiting for the right investigation to finally bring it to light. Though we may never know who killed the Black Dahlia, poring over the evidence of this case is just as darkly fascinating today as it was in 1947.